Kohli is fierce. MS Dhoni is cool. Rohit Sharma is fun. Any RCB fans in here? I
Is
didn't
RCB
expect
going to
it.
lift the trophy this time finally?
It's going to be a good IPL though. I think there are a lot of good teams, and a lot of good teams is what makes this IPL a really competitive tournament. But I can promise you, RCB will come really hard on you guys. Mumbai, whoever the Mumbai fans are. My dad is a great example of a failed cricketer. When you have a failed cricketer in the house, they will push their kids to play that sport and try and become more successful. That's how I got into cricket. The first match that I saw was the 1992 World Cup. India versus England, I think, and Sachin was playing in it, and I watched that game, and that's when I fell in love with it. Sometimes I used to go as an opener, sometimes I used to go as a middle order batsman, sometimes I used to go as a finisher, whatever it took.
DK, welcome to TECHSPARKS. It's such a pleasure to be talking to you today.
Good evening, everybody. I hope all of you all are good. I'm sure it's been a long day and you've heard plenty of speakers, so joining in. But the good part is I bring, I reckon, a very interesting part of my life that I've done, apart from being a sportsman and the journey. I think it's really good to be here. When I walked through the crowd, I could realize all the enthusiasm that was there. It is very... always being a sportsman, when you walk across crowds, you get a sense of what it is, but you can, walking across today, I felt very different to what I'm used to. Generally, it's people shouting the team's name or my name. Today, it was very much tech speculated. So I'm very keen and interested to be part of this conversation.
Wonderful. People are clearly very excited to have DK in the house. How excited are we to have DK in the house? All right. DK, people keep talking about your age, mostly in a positive way, like in an encouraging sort of a way. It's appreciative. How does it make you feel? Like, do you feel good about it? Does it sometimes get a little irritating?
Oh, no. I think age is, inevitable in many ways. You just keep evolving with it. I think you got to enjoy every phase of life. I think this has been a good phase for me the last 3-4 years. Just being part of the Indian team, going to World Cups, and now in my new avatar, which is obviously broadcasting. I'm doing a lot more commentary now, so moving around with teams, understanding the game, and most importantly, connecting with people like y'all who are listening to me has become a very, very important part of my life. When you play the sport, the challenges are very different. When you're broadcasting sport, when you're a commentator, again, it becomes very different. You're catering to a very large audience, which is how most startups are. You deal with a certain set of people, but also the assortment of people that you in turn are looking out to is broader in nature. So I've quite enjoyed playing this new role of a commentator. I mean, I just feel like I've already retired, but I'm still playing the IPL. So there's a lot to look forward to in playing as well. But there are newer aspects of the game that I'm really enjoying, being associated with.
So, presenting and commentary is something that you're clearly very good at. I mean, you seem to have the gift of the gab. So, is it something, and you're very witty as well, is it something that you worked on, or were you always this person who was very good with words?
Commentary happened to me by accident, to be honest. I wasn't looking to become a commentator. In fact, about 4 years ago, when I got the first opportunity to work for Sky Sports, I refused it. I said, no, I don't want to do it. Because in India, if you do commentary, it's like, khatam ho gaya, iska time khatam ho gaya, abhi, he's done. So I didn't want to be part of that, so I just stayed away from it. But then my family itself encouraged me, saying, I've always been someone who's tried things. Like at a very young age, I had what is called a personal coach. In cricket, there's not many personal coaches. You have a lot of coaches being part of teams, but I hired a personal coach, I hired a personal trainer. So I did things differently. I thought like a tennis player. How would individuals play the sport? So I always looked at it differently. And when the commentary opportunity came, I was pretty worried. I didn't want to take it up, but then my family kind of said, give it a go. And then when I did take it up, I think I quite enjoyed it. And in a way, it actually opened me up to a lot of new things. Like when I was playing the sport, I was always very wary and very aware of what the commentators say. But once I became a commentator, I realized a lot of times what they talk is absolute rubbish. So it's okay.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of cricketers always have the TV on mute. They don't want to listen to the commentary at all. Is it still the case in the dressing rooms?
That's not a great question to ask somebody who wants to become a commentator. Most of them put their volume on mute. But yeah, I just hope people stop, stop putting us on mute and are willing to give us a chance to listen to us. But yes, I do accept that a lot of people, interestingly, I am also one of those people who like to watch cricket on very low volume because I understand the tactics of the game a lot better when I watch the sport without the commentary. Because a lot of the times when I'm watching it like a coach or a captain, like, why is he doing that? Why is that batsman playing that shot? Or why is this field set up? When the commentary is on, I get diverted a little bit. So I try to avoid, in many ways, watching it on high sound, just normal sound.
DK, you spoke about having a personal coach early on. I believe your dad also had a big role to play in you taking up cricket, and he was a cricketer himself, right? So, talk to us about what kind of an influence he's had in your life, whether it's cricket or otherwise.
My dad is a great example of a failed cricketer. When you have a failed cricketer in the house, they will push their kids to play that sport and try and become more successful. That's how I got into cricket. The first time I played it, wasn't too keen, but my dad said, you have to play. At times I used to get very irritated and upset with him. And the first match that I saw was the 1992 World Cup, India versus England, I think, and Sachin was playing in it. And I watched that game, and that's when I fell in love with it. But it was my dad who actually made me watch the whole game. I really didn't enjoy watching cricket or playing at that stage. But then slowly I started finding a liking to it. And as all of them here, I'm sure all your dads have played a role in trying to become who you all are. In mine, it was more a case of him trying to live his dream through me. So yes, it was my dad who initially forced the issue. And even when I was in 10th standard and 12th standard, when a lot of other parents used to remove their kids from coaching and, obviously expect them to study a lot more. In my case, my dad was a lot more relaxed. I can't say the same about my mum, but my dad was a lot more relaxed.
But how hard was it? Because you said like a lot of cricketers who couldn't really make it want to see that dream be fulfilled through their children. Yuvraj Singh being another case in point, right? Yuvraj, of course, played for India, but didn't really have a long career. And it's common knowledge that he was very hard on Yuvraj. So was your dad as harsh or hard, or was he not so hard?
Obviously, I don't know how hard Yuvraj Singh's dad was, but my dad was hard, but not
So I'll
always.
give you an example. Yuvraj, I think whether it was his dad or mom, I don't remember. So apparently his mother used to tell him कि इतना इसको torture करो तो ये मर जाएगा. So he said तू अभी जवान है फिर एक और we can have another child or something like that. It's that extreme.
So yeah, I don't think my dad was that extreme, but I'll tell you an example. Kumar Sangakkara. How many of you all know Kumar Sangakkara here? Oh, okay. Most of you all know. So I end up working with him now in the commentary box, and someday the discussion about dads came, and he was asking me like, "Was your dad too keen?" I said, "Yeah, he was very keen. He used to force me to play the sport, and that's how I started it, whatnot." And then he said, "Me, do you know, Dinesh? I had scored 24 Test hundreds, and this Test match I played in Gaul." No, not Gaul, sorry, Basin Reserve in New Zealand. And obviously, the timings are very different and all that. As soon as I reach my room, I have a memo in my hotel room saying, please call immediately. And I knew who it was from. And he said it was from his dad. And he just knew, having received that, what it meant. So basically, he knew he was going to get, a peppering from his dad for getting out the way he did. And he said, I called up my dad, and he was about 31 years old. He had about 24 centuries in international test cricket at that stage. And his dad gave him an absolute rollicking for getting out. So, that's how dads are. Even if you're 30 years, 32 years, the interest and the way they watch the game, they know pretty much inside out how they all play the sport. And he said that he, in many ways, went back into a shell and tried to play after that like how he used to play, because he got out playing a bad shot and his dad wasn't okay with it. I'll tell you another guy who's very, very, whose dad is a very keen observer, Shubman Gill. All of you all must be watching him play right now. His dad is also very, very sure of how Shubman Gill should go about things and do things. So it makes very interesting examples actually, how when a dad in many ways, having seen the whole journey from young to when they're growing up, still have an influence on the players irrespective of what your age is.
DK, you're well known for your comebacks, right? What's kept you so resilient over the years? Is it the fear of the father, or is it something else?
No, definitely not fear of father. Luckily for me, in my case, my dad cooled down after a bit. I think he was a lot more easygoing. Like yesterday, I played a DY Patil tournament and I got out first ball for duck. He called me up and made fun of me. So, that's how it goes. But what kept me going was definitely my hunger in wanting to play for the country. I was always, in many ways, the understudy of MS Dhoni. So I wasn't getting enough opportunities, but I realized that if I want to play the sport, I have to keep evolving in many ways to get into the team. Sometimes I used to go as an opener. Sometimes I used to go as a middle order batsman. Sometimes I used to go as a finisher. Whatever it took. So because I kept pushing myself in various directions, I branched out into various things that other players found really hard. I was very versatile, and that hunger and determination to play for the country. I had a lot of pride in wanting to play for my country. So that actually kept me going for the longest time until I made my comeback in the 2022 World Cup as well. That the hunger to do well for the country is what completely drove me for the last 10 years of my career.
You spoke about MSD. My colleague Shohini and I were just discussing a while back about you all kind of debuting around the same time, I think a year apart or something. And of course, MSD, we know about his career and everything. Do you think somewhere him being a contemporary helped you, or was it detrimental to your career?
Oh, I think it was very helpful in molding the person I am today. If I am sitting here today and in front of a group of people who are all wanting to become something special in life, in various various aspects of life, be it your career, be it your life, I think MS Dhoni was a massive challenge for me at that stage. And to try and do something special when you have someone who's already doing in the same walk of life, you have to have a certain amount of vision for your career. Otherwise, you could get very lost in the crowd. So, always trying to find options as to how I can grow and become better than what I was yesterday always is what drove me. And MS Dhoni was a great example of someone who came from a small town but made it big in life with a lot of self-belief. I mean, even now, the last test match that was played, I was in Ranchi, and it's phenomenal to think that a player from that part of the world has come and has become a global superstar. I mean, literally, you could go to any part of the cricketing world, they'll know for sure. But in other aspects of the world as well, just the persona is created around himself. He has 1.3 billion people genuinely affectionate of him. It's a very hard place to be, but he's done it so well. He's literally been a very interesting and intriguing person for a lot of people around the world who have watched him and observed him, a leader of men. And he's actually a great leader because he is so good in dealing with various situations, be it on the field. For example, a lot of captains actually struggle when the ball is, what they call due. When in the second innings, when you're trying to chase down a total, it becomes a lot easier. But MS Dhoni was phenomenal in leading a team, even in those tough moments. And I admired him for that. And that in turn helped me when I became a captain and when I was, today getting into whatever I am getting into in terms of be it coaching, be it commentary, or be it playing. In fact, I think it just broadened my horizon. I looked at the fact that MS Dhoni was there, not as a stumbling block, but definitely as a small speed breaker in my journey. But realized that only if I get past that speed breaker, will I be able to move forward in life. So I think he taught me a lot of things. Not that he sat down and taught me, but the fact that him being around taught me a lot of life lessons.
Wonderful. You spoke about his leadership style. Now you've from very close quarters seen Virat's style, Rohit's style, as well as his style. How are these three people different in their leadership approach?
So MS Dhoni is obviously very. I mean, to be fair, all three are very different people. First of all, I think MS Dhoni is cool, very relaxed, and I said as a leader of men. When you come to Virat Kohli, he's a bit like fire. Like, he leads with purpose. He leads with a lot of passion. He just walks the talk. He might not, say too much to you, but you can just observe him and realize how hard he works, how disciplined he is, how he is able to stay out of his comfort zone for a lot of the time. You look, when you take Virat Kohli, I'm sure you guys have seen pictures of him when he was young in the under 19 stages and all that. He was a chubby youngster, to be fair. And for him to have literally changed his eating habits, his lifestyle, the way he looked at how he needs to get to be physically to transform himself into that person he is today, phenomenal. I watch him every day and it just fascinates me to realize that a man who is completely driven by his attitude towards training has helped him achieve almost everything he's achieved on the field today. A lot of people look at his cover drive and say, that's a beautiful shot. Sometimes it's cut short. Fair enough. I think that is a very strong part of his game. But what he does off the field, I promise you, is absolutely unbelievable a lot of the times. The amount of effort he puts in. He could go and Anushka should be shooting. I remember it was in somewhere in Italy or France when they went to shoot. he still managed to get training done, and that is attitude for you. That is, on a holiday, having an active holiday in terms of making sure that his fitness is up to the mark. And I won't be surprised, he's not playing right now, he's wherever he is, but he will be training. I can tell you that. If he decides to come and play the IPL, he might be initially rusty, but in his batting form, but his physical condition will be absolutely on point. And for me, that is phenomenal. And then you have Rohit Sharma. He is a very warm, witty, fun-loving guy who has definitely the confidence of all the young boys. He is a leader who has made a lot of the young guys in the team believe that they can do special things. And he constantly encourages them. He's very hands-on with them, and he takes care of them. So very three different leadership styles. Dhoni believes you're a professional, you're out there, you will do the job for me the way you've done it for so many years. Virat Kohli leads by example. Rohit Sharma is hands-on. He's a bit like the elder brother sort of a feeling, and he's there for you in all times. So three different players. All three of them have had successes at different points of time, but all three have their own ways to do it.
Rohit's forgetful nature. I mean, there are so many videos around it. Is this something that you all sort of have a laugh with him about?
I think that goes without saying. Yeah. He is a very funny guy, but he's very forgetful as well. I remember, I think it was in Zimbabwe. Maybe he's told the story somewhere. He actually went from, we were staying in Harare. We went to another place called Bulawayo. He reached Bulawayo and realized that he didn't have his passport. He left it in the previous hotel. So he's done things like these, losing mobile phones. I think he lost his mobile phone the day after the World Cup final. Well, he is a very meme-worthy person, I can tell you that. So he is an absolute fun guy to be around. He has a great sense of humor, and also the way he talks is very funny. Even the other day, he told Sarfraz, "Hey, hero nahi banne ka." Just the way he says it, very Bombay and
Bombay
very
boy, yeah.
very,
Apparently, they call him Shana.
Yuvraj Singh and slightly senior people. I don't think the Sarfraz Khans and the Washington Sundars have the courage to call him Shana, but he's a very fun guy to be around and a very genuine sense of humor. And he's a very real guy. You just meet him and you realize that what you see in his house will be exactly what you see in the ground as well. Just his dialect, the way he speaks, and I have a lot of time. He's a very close friend of mine as well. So there are plenty of instances in a room like this. It might be hard to explain all the things that he does, but he's a great guy to be around.
Lovely. DK, let's talk about, your dad obviously was a pillar of strength for you, but let's talk about some of the other influences you had growing up or even now. What have been who have been some of the biggest influences in your life?
Look, I think one of my biggest influences, apart from my dad, is my current coach, Abhishek Nair, who actually literally made me look at things very differently. I was a cricketer who was running a certain race in a very, very hard manner. And I had hit a certain point where I plateaued. I wasn't moving forward. I just felt like I was stuck. It is a lot like a lot of you young people here. You have an idea, you run after it. At certain point, you might come to a stage where you feel, I feel I'm not growing. I got to that point around the 2014, 2015 mark. And that's when I, connected back with Abhishek Nair. And he was a failed cricketer. He was someone who didn't achieve the glory that he would have wanted, but actually someone who punched way above his weight in terms of talent. He wasn't the most talented guy going around. He was someone who was, a decent cricketer, not the most talented, but did well enough to play for India. With that skill, it was phenomenal. So he had tried a lot of things, and he opened me up to a lot of things in terms of working hard, in terms of working smart, actually. I think a lot of the times people work hard, but not smart enough. He introduced me to that concept, the way we started practicing, and the way we were able to fine-tune what I was doing and do everything possible in the most cleverest manner, but also be very, very specific about how you're going to achieve success and how the process needs to be. So spending time with him has definitely been an eye opener for me in the last few years.
You spoke about Abhishek, who was again touted to be the next big thing, but didn't quite achieve that. There are several others, Amol Mazumdar being one, Vikram Rathore during his time also. He was big in the domestic circuit, never quite was able to make a mark in the international sort of space. DK, you've seen successes, you've seen failures as well. So what are some of your tips in dealing with failures or difficult times in general?
Failure is very, very essential in life for a few reasons. One, it gives you perspective. For me, as I said, in 2014, 2015, when I had hit a plateau, I was failing, and that's when I realized, okay, there's something different I need to do. I think a lot of us sitting in this room here have all dealt with failures. Failures is a small blip. I think people need to look at failures as feedbacks, and that's how I have seen it. A failure asks you questions for which when you work hard enough and work smart enough, you will get answers for. If everything came out very easily, then everybody would be successful in life. It's not that simple to achieve success or be special, but each one of us in this room as we speak is capable of doing something very, very special. The beauty is, if failures don't happen, then the greatest of ideas wouldn't be executed or even exist for that matter. So I think I'm a big believer that failures teach you to move forward in life. There are many examples. Hardik Pandya, for example, I think, he had, when he came into IPL, I remember he had a good season. Then he had an absolute ordinary season. And that failure actually taught him to become the international cricketer that he has become over a period of time. Now I think his body has obviously been his biggest, area to work on, and he realizes what he needs to do. You can see a person like that, and I know, he was many years ago when I suggested him to, think about other things other than this, the gym, and yoga was not something that he liked doing. But today I'm seeing him put videos about doing yoga and meditation. It tells you that life always teaches you and questions you. You need to find solutions to it. And, I always have this big belief, and it's a nice analogy actually. At the end of the day, diamond is a carbon. Under the hardest of pressures, when carbon becomes a diamond. So, you need to be tested under pressure. That's when you'll shine, and you'll shine big for the world to see. So pressure and failure is always a part of life. If that isn't there, I guess we wouldn't, grow as fast as we want to in other aspects of life.
Yeah, there's also a Khalil Gibran quote that the greatest of souls are seared with scars. So it's failure and hurt and everything that sort of makes you what you are, I guess. DK, cricketers are hero worshipped in our country. You know that very well. How does that, with so much, with so much fanfare and everything, how does one stay grounded and humble? And it is very important to stay grounded and humble.
For a lot of people, I think being humble is a virtue. I feel it is a non-negotiable these days. I think it is very important to stay very grounded and humble, only because the modern day is a very challenging place to be, with the advent of social media and the amount of exposure you get and the amount of things that you're you know watching and observing in everyday walk of life. It is very different. So with all the things that are challenging, I think if you don't remain humble about it, in the current day and age, it becomes really hard to succeed in life. It is, when I say succeed, I'm sure a lot of cocky people are also very successful. What I mean to say is, to enjoy the fruits of your success becomes really hard, because you're always constantly trying to appease or trying to do something that is not in your innate culture. I think if you're humble, you don't need to be very humble, but if you're humble enough, I think in many ways, the biggest of challenges that you face, you will find the right sort of environment for you to thrive in. If you're not humble, what you realize after a point of time is, somewhere the rest of the world is waiting for you to have that one bad moment to pull you down. The people who have been humble, the greatest of examples, Sachin Tendulkar, even today he is revered. It's just that you just meet the person and you'll realize that he's a very humble, down-to-earth personality, and it's warm to talk to him. MS Dhoni, for that example, I think he's a great example of someone who's very humble, very grounded, realizes what ground reality is. And I think if it's a challenge, by no means am I saying it's easy, but you can definitely see there is a lot of difference between a person who is humble and understands the values of life than someone who's got instant success and is not able to deal with it.
I was actually recently watching the Steve Aoki documentary on Netflix, and there's this beautiful line there. It says, "Feed the ego, starve the soul." So I think that's pretty much the crux of it, right?
No, absolutely. I think that's a great line. Feed the ego, starve the soul. It is very self-explanatory. It basically, talks to you about how important it is in today's day and age with all the challenges. And I'm sure he's speaking from a broader perspective. But if you just see what's happening across the world, and when I say not in a generic sense, but you just go through whatever you are doing on social media, and the world is about a lot of times showing more than what you have, being more than what you have. But somewhere I feel people who are able to create that balance between work and family, between happy and being sad, and understanding what success means and understanding how to deal with failures, they are the kind of people who seem to thrive in this world and stay happier for a longer period of time.
DK, coming to the role of a finisher, it's not easy, and there are some legends, like there was Michael Bevan, Robin Singh for India at one point in time, MS Dhoni himself. How did this role happen to you, and how do you sort of stay calm in high pressure situations?
The role of finisher I chose doing when I reached my fifth IPL team, which was KKR. So I was the captain there. We were the youngest team in the IPL at that stage, and we had players like Shubman Gill was playing his first year, Nitish Rana was playing his second year, Rinku Singh hadn't played. So we had a lot of young boys in that team. So what I realized is the toughest phase of play is definitely somewhere between overs 12 and 20. And I wanted the rest of the younger boys to try and play the first 12 overs because comparatively the pressure was lesser. So, if they do it there, then I will be able to go in the middle and I could make the difference that these young boys could have probably found it slightly harder. So I trained in such a way that I could become the middle order batsman. Until then, I was batting at number 3 and 4 for various franchises. But then I became number 5 and number 6. And then that's when the journey of finisher became. Again, it came from a place of trying to accommodate a lot of the young boys and making sure that they weren't all at sea. But in the end, it turned up helping my career as well, wherein there was this slot available in the Indian team as a finisher. I ended up, just becoming that part of the puzzle that fit in there correctly.
Excited about donning the RCB jersey again?
Oh, any RCB fans in here? Oh, that's nice. I
Is
didn't
RCB
expect
going to
it.
lift the trophy this time finally?
You guys tell me, do you think we have a chance? How many Mumbai Indians fans here? CSK? One last time for RCB. So we got a lot of Mumbai Indians fans in the house. Look, you guys have a very strong team, no doubt about it. It's going to be a good IPL though. I think there are a lot of good teams, and a lot of good teams is what makes this IPL a really competitive tournament. But I can promise you RCB will come really hard on you guys. Mumbai, whoever the Mumbai fans are.
Okay, we got to wrap up now. I got 2 more questions very quickly. One word to describe Kohli, Rohit and MSD. One word each.
Kohli is fierce. MS Dhoni is cool. Rohit Sharma is fun.
And DK, do you invest in startups or do you want to?
I have invested in a couple of startups, and this is a space that I'm very, very excited about because, like me, it's very. I think the startup space is a very, very interesting space to be a part of. The modern guy who wants to invest, apart from doing, I remember when when I was slightly younger, all my parents told me to do was invest in real estate. I'm tired right now. I think that gives me the least return at this point of time. But as this new journey of startups have come in, I've invested in a couple, and I've invested in things that I believe in and things associated with what I'm doing right now. Basically in sport, there's this company called Moonwalker, which is doing, basically making equipments, but with a bit of a twist in it. And I quite like that space as well. And startups is a very interesting space. I feel it's like a small baby, which can be, in many ways, it's a bit like a clay statue. You can mold it the way you want. So I quite enjoy that journey. So I'm very excited to be part of the space already, the companies that I've invested in. And it is something that is a very strong part of me where I invest time and energy in terms of just not being a face to the product, but also, being invested in it, growing as a company. And that is where I come from. I realize that my belief is, apart from being the cricketer that I am, which obviously is a good thing. There's no doubt about it. But I believe that I'm there for the product and I want the product to grow with me. So, it's a very interesting and exciting space that I'm always very keen to explore once I get the time though.
And budding entrepreneurs, how can they get your attention?
Budding entrepreneurs can definitely get my attention. My manager's right there, so you can definitely connect with him and, he'll then put it across to me. So, at any point of time, anybody interested in anything, please feel free. And also, I think in my Instagram bio, there is an email. So if you connect there, I think we do connect back. So, on both sides, we are covered. And if it is something interesting, I promise you, it's always a space that I'm excited about. And not always do I get it right. So don't think that if you come to me, it's going to be great. No. I can promise you, just like my cricketing career, I will be very thorough with whatever I do. And if I decide to be part of it, then I do give it my 100%.
Excellent. DK, it's been so much fun chatting with you. Thank you once again for coming to TECHSPARKS, and we hope you come back again.
Thank you so much, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.